A very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. on Tuesday, March 10th, 2025. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Well, if you like spring-like weather, you will love today. Sunny, very mild, becoming breezy, highs near 70. Let's go right to the guy that we need to give un abbraccio e un bacio to. His name is meteorologist Mike Favetta. Mike, how did your parents know to name you meteorologist at birth? He has a first check of the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Yeah, it's all about the warm hugs. Nature giving you a warm hug today with all that sunshine, just like yesterday. A little bit milder in the temperature department and a little breezy by day's end, but not too windy. In fact, those winds making it feel quite pleasant away from the shoreline. But if you find yourself along the beaches, it'll stay pretty chilly today. We're currently in the 20s in the northwestern neighborhoods, upper 30s and low 40s at the coast. But with temperatures today climbing well above average again. We start off this morning, clear sky, a calm breeze. Temperatures were already feeling a few degrees cooler than this time yesterday, but not to worry because we'll be on the other side of that, warming up nicely by the afternoon. Some thin clouds offshore last night due to a storm system over the Carolinas, not influencing our weather. In fact, we stay nice and dry today and clear, with the futurecast putting highs well above average into the mid and upper 60s, likely nearing 70 degrees there toward Trenton by 4 o'clock today. Same for you in Canton, then up toward Morristown and Newark, mid to upper 60s. Notice the shoreline locations, much cooler with that sea breeze, 47 over on LBI. So a big difference in just a few miles with that sea breeze today, given how the Pine Barrens will be so warm and the temperature along the coast will be so chilly. Later on tonight, we start to see a cooling trend that keeps us chilly tomorrow. We're cloudy, I think, by the afternoon. Tomorrow starts sunny, but the clouds hold us in the 40s, especially with that northeasterly breeze, and then bring on a few showers late tomorrow night that give us some wet weather into tomorrow evening. Could some of that fall as frozen precip? Yeah, briefly, I think up in the northern counties. But clouds kind of rule the skies. Beyond that, going into the weekend with some damp weather around, and then we get another round of wind and rain this weekend. So as temperatures hold in the 50s starting tomorrow, get out and enjoy those upper 60s and potentially low 70s today, Ken, because it doesn't come back at least until next week. We'll take another check of your forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Here you go. Tease, 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 tease. It's all Mike does is tease, tease. All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. And checking traffic at this early hour at 7:03. We have a crash. Route 139, pardon me, lower. Excuse me. In radio, we would have a cough button to prevent you from having to endure that. In fact, I think I have a cough button. Yeah, I do. I'm going to press it because Pam, our director, will freak out. We have a crash on Route 139, lower roadway eastbound east of Tunnelly Avenue in Jersey City. The right lane is closed. Pardon me. We have on the Jersey Turnpike a crash at the Hudson County Extension eastbound west of Newark Bay Bridge in Newark. All lanes open, but vehicles are on the right shoulder. That's going to cause rubbernecking. Crash with injuries on a jackknife tractor trailer. That's on the Turnpike outer roadway southbound south of Interchange 13, which is the Goethals Bridge in Linden. The right lane is blocked along with the shoulder. We have that emergency construction still in the sinkhole on I-80 eastbound at exit 34, Route 15 and Wharton. All lanes closed. Everybody's being detoured. And we have a story about that as well. The governor says, we don't know how long this is going to last. Foreseeable future. This is going to be a long time, folks. So hang in there. We're even declaring a state of emergency in New Jersey because of it and requesting some federal help to help along that, because there are dozens and dozens of voids they have to fill to make sure that roadway is safe. So it's basically a mini reconstruction of I-80 through Wharton right now. 7:04 is our time, and the most dangerous state for pedestrians in the entire nation, New Jersey. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has released figures that paint a grim picture. In fact, in 2024 alone, 223 walkers were killed by a vehicle. That is a 23% jump from the year before. But listen to this twist. Over half of all pedestrian fatalities involved alcohol or drugs in the system. Not the system of the driver necessarily. The system of the pedestrian. Yeah, stoned and drunk walkers are the majority reason why so many people walking got killed. So before you say, oh, drivers are driving too fast. Oh, there are all these drunk drivers. Mothers Against Drunk Driving. They go out there and if you go 26 miles an hour in a 25 zone, you get a $5,000 ticket. Hold on. It's the pedestrian. The pedestrians are walking around stoned off their asses. Many of them are high on pot, and you can't necessarily do a field sobriety with them. And so they're looking at their phones. They're not paying attention. They're walking right into traffic. That accounts for more than half of all pedestrian deaths. So the question is now, are there also people driving drunk or stoned? There is a definite correlation in all the states where marijuana was legalized. Highway deaths soared. In Colorado, the head of the state police there said, had he known the quantity, the numbers by which highway deaths would soar once marijuana was legalized there, he would have been dead set against it. He was for it originally. But this is a problem. This is what you get when you think you're going to get some tax revenue by legalizing pot. This is the ramification. 223 pedestrians in just New Jersey in the last year alone. In the last 4 years, 2,900 total fatal car crashes, 915 of them involving a pedestrian, and more than half involving the pedestrian being stoned or drunk to some extent. Not necessarily fall down stoned or drunk, but at least they had drugs or alcohol in their system. Think about that. It is 7:06 now, and Governor Murphy has declared the continued work, as I just mentioned a moment ago, on eastbound I-80 in Wharton a state of emergency in hopes of getting federal funding to help with repairs. Local business owners are hoping so too. They've been losing a lot of money every day that drivers don't stop and spend. It's just over a month now, 31 days since this sinkhole formed, and there's no indication of when I-80 may reopen. The area is home to scores of closed iron mines. So far, at least 57 voids have been filled with grout so they could prevent future sinkholes from forming. It is 7:07 now, and President Trump said that he'd get down fuel prices, and he kept his word. The average cost for a gallon of gas in the Garden State is now down to $2.94. That is the lowest price in nearly 4 years, and it's down 23 cents year to year, and down $2.11, literally almost half from the high of $5.05 under President Biden, who insisted there was nothing he could do about it. Big changes are on the way if you like to play your lottery for Mega Millions. Mega Millions lottery as of next month, ticket prices will more than double, rising from $2 to $5 per play. This marks the second price increase in the game's history, the last increase coming back in 2017 when the game jumped in price from $1 to $2 per play. Lottery officials say the price hike will improve jackpot odds for players, leading to more billion-dollar wins and giving players bigger payouts overall. The new $5 ticket price takes effect in April. It is 7:08 now, and stocks took a major tumble yesterday on word that President can't rule out the possibility that we may see a recession. The Nasdaq closed down 4%, the largest single-day loss since 2022. Tesla shares fell about 15.4%, while chipmaker Nvidia was down more than 5%. Other major tech stocks include Meta, Amazon, and Alphabet. They all sank. The S&P 500 index slid 2.7%. Dow dropped 2.1%, coming after Trump said the U.S. economy was in a period of transition after he was asked by Maria Bartiromo if there could be a potential recession. He said, I can't rule it out. He's not saying there will be one, but whenever you have a big transition like this, you never know, because remember, recessions are a psychological thing. People hold back their money. That's usually what causes a recession. That or hyper artificial inflation. So if you introduce tons of spending, say, from the government, forcing the government into debt, that can cause a recession because everybody's money is worth less. Or you could have a recession when people think they can't spend money because they won't have it tomorrow, so they hold on to it, and that causes a recession. The late great Rush Limbaugh used to say, I know there's a recession going on, but I choose not to partake. Meaning if everybody just goes out and just continues living life as usual and spending money, there will not be a recession. So it's up to you and me whether there is a recession. It is 7:09. New public opinion polls show a clear front runner in the race for mayor of New York State, or mayor of New York City, former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo just announced a slew of public policy proposals. Former three-term governor, who resigned amid multiple scandals in 2021, unveiled the second plank of his public safety agenda yesterday. Ironically, the public safety issues impacting New York City over the past few years were arguably initially caused by then Governor Cuomo. He caused all the problems, and now he's saying, there are problems I must come and fix. Issues like bail reform, allowing arrested criminals to walk free without bail, cannabis law reform and expungement, the proclamation that New York State is a sanctuary state, and the reduction of dozens of felonies to misdemeanors. The result has been disastrous in all of this. Now New York City is full of homeless, drug addicts, subway crime, and a significantly lower quality of life. Most memorable, however, was then Governor Cuomo's executive order that senior citizens infected with COVID be removed from hospitals and put into nursing homes, where they then infected thousands of fellow senior citizens who died, many of them spending their last days miserably sick and alone because their families were not allowed to be with them. They were quarantined. The families needed to be with them most at that point, and these poor people lived their whole lives, many of them veterans, suffered and died alone, courtesy Governor Cuomo. Cuomo was finally forced to step down after allegations of sexual misconduct, but now he wants to be rewarded with the diamond mayoralty in the nation, New York City. And don't think that he's doing this because he needs to be mayor of New York. He's doing this because he wants desperately to be president. It's a Cuomo thing. I used to know his dad. Trust me, it is a Cuomo thing. They have visions of grandeur in the Cuomo minds. They married Kennedys and then divorced Kennedys. Not surprisingly, the one-party liberal democratic regime appears ready to grant Cuomo his wish, no doubt in return for a slew of favors to be granted under the table later. Just the Cuomo way. 7-Eleven. Dozens of people have been rescued after an oil tanker carrying aviation jet fuel and a container ship collided in the North Sea off the coast of England, resulting in multiple explosions and a massive fireball. Lifeboats and a Coast Guard helicopter had to be called to the collision yesterday morning. The vessels involved were a U.S. flag tanker called the MV Stina Immaculate and a Portuguese container ship called the MV Solong. 37 people across both vessels are accounted for, with one who had to be hospitalized, but fortunately no deaths. It's amazing when you look at the explosion online that anybody even survived. 7-Eleven, almost every Republican in the House and Senate are on board with the continuing resolution to keep the federal government open, but 60 votes are necessary in the Senate, meaning some Democrats must get on board. And there's one stubborn House member named Massey of Kentucky. He refuses to come on board with anything the president proposes. He insists that it's because in the past, every time he votes for a continuing resolution, that they don't come back and change the problems. But Massey never votes in favor of President Trump. So you have to wonder what the deal is. So President Trump looks like he's going to get some money together to primary him, meaning he will have somebody in opposition in the Republican Party running against him next term. The difference this time, by the way, is the Democrats don't join the GOP. A government shutdown would be their fault, so not the fault of Republicans. So, in years past, every time there was the threat of a government shutdown, Senator Schumer would put the glasses at the tip of the nose and put them. This should be I know Senator Schumer, so I've done this to his face. And he would say, go ahead, Republicans, shut down the government. Tell people they can't get their checks, which, by the way, doesn't happen. You get your checks because they're automated, no matter what. The government shutdown really just means that a small segment of government, federal government, the workers, have to wait a couple of weeks to get their checks. You will not be impacted by a government shutdown at all. They hate that. The Democrats hate that because it shows you don't need the federal government to live a very happy life. You would never know the difference if the federal government shut down. Oh, some public parks would close. Okay, I'll survive without Yosemite for a week. Tiny handful of Republicans right now against the measure. Otherwise, every Republican in lockstep. So it's just really the liberal legacy Democrats who are against this in lockstep. And the media, the liberal legacy media, will try to let you think that this is a Republican close if the federal government closes down, but it's not. It is the Democrats, because the Republicans are supporting this. The Bible teaches us that Noah and his ark saved humanity and all the animals from certain annihilation during the ancient flood. Now, 5,000 years after we are taught those floodwaters receded, scientists believe they discovered the location of the famous boat. Pam, we don't have our interview till the next segment, so let me bother you here for the Noah's Ark video, please. We have stills of Noah's Ark. Let's see if we can show that. All right. Pam and I are good Bible thumpers, so we appreciate this. Pam's a good Pentecostal. I'm an old-time Catholic. So let's show Noah's Ark. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Noah's Ark. This is believed to be the location. There you go. You're looking at something that could potentially be 5,000+ years old. Now, I know that In Search Of, remember the show In Search Of? 40 and 50 years ago, did a series about this. But now it looks like Mount Ararat in Turkey, that because they did samples there, it looks like the samples are 5,000 to 7,000 years old. That's called the Durupinar Formation. 538-foot geological structure made of a type of iron ore called limonite. It has long captivated researchers due to the fact that its shape and structure almost perfectly match those given for the ark in the Bible. They actually tell you the cubits. That's an old way of measuring. They tell you the size of the ark, and this thing actually matches it. New evidence now shows that mound really did experience some kind of a devastating flood 5,000 years ago between 3,000 and 5,500 BC. So you may actually be looking at something that we all laughed about and thought, oh, it's just a myth in the Bible, in the Old Testament. You silly Old Testament believers. Well, laugh all you want. That right there could actually be the ark that, by the way, is not just in Christian and Judaic culture, but almost every religious historical culture on earth references a great flood, and many of them reference an ark. You might be looking at it right there. History. It is 7:15, and when we come back, a fact of life that all women must endure: menopause. Now, a group of experts wants to demystify this challenge for the women of the Garden State. It is something you will definitely want to check in. And here's a bad segue. I apologize in advance. Speaking of hot flashes, it'll be sunny and warmer today, becoming breezy, highs near 70. Okay, ladies, you have at it. I deserve it for that. Meteorologist Mike Pavetta will return with your full Garden State forecast, and we are taking your calls, 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Please don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday. I'm Ken Rosato. It is 7:17, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Sunny, very mild today, becoming breezy with highs near 70. Meteorologist Mike Pavetta has the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. We've got a beautiful day today, our last day of warm, sunny weather this week before it turns cooler and cloudier for the rest of the week. So enjoy that sunshine as temperatures climb well into the 70s across portions of Monmouth and Ocean County, especially where the sandy soil is. There's dry conditions with less humidity. Head over toward the coast, though, and that wind coming off of the water make it feel so much colder. 59 in Long Branch. Look how chilly it will be there along the shoreline. So with today's UV index back up at a 4, again, that's anywhere from the moderate to almost high range, especially as we head into the next few days, closer to the vernal equinox. We see that UV get very high by the end of the summer season. Now, our forecast, end of spring into summer, the summer solstice is when that UV index is highest. Looking ahead through the next few hours with the wind, it gets a little breezy by this afternoon. You notice those winds gusting over 20 miles per hour and predominantly blowing from the north and east by tomorrow. That's what helps bring in our cloud cover throughout our Wednesday and also keeps the clouds hanging pretty low into the end of the week. So while there's no weather coming in from the west this time, we'll just slowly see these clouds up north slide their way down over the course of the next day or so. So that'll keep us a little cool around here, especially after a high today that's up near 70 degrees with the sunshine. You see those clouds start to work their way in and then deliver a much cooler feel tomorrow afternoon. Wow, about 20 to 25 degrees cooler with that cloud cover. Now, there could also be a few spotty sprinkles overnight tomorrow into Thursday morning. It clears out by daybreak, but we're left with the gray sky and temperatures. Look at that, in the 30s throughout all day on Thursday, a very big change in the weather, making it feel quite chilly. So again, Today is the day to enjoy that sunny warmth. In through Friday and Saturday, the clouds hang low. I think we get a few hours of sunshine on Friday. It'll look decent, but we're back to solid overcast to start off the weekend. And with that, we hold in the 40s all day on Saturday with the gray sky, welcoming some rain in by Sunday. And I say welcoming because it's rain we really need, given how dry it's been and how the drought is pretty persistent. Some of those showers come in late in the morning, but some downpours by later Sunday evening as the main front pushes in. So going into this weekend, it's going to be gray. Lots of cloud cover throughout Saturday, temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Sunday turns milder with that southwesterly wind, a gusty wind, but also brings in that rain by day's end. We'll tell you more about it with the 7-day forecast. Find some more warm, sunny days on there, Ken. We'll let you know. It's coming up in a few minutes.
You know, Mike, I was part of a grunge group 30 years ago called Solid Overcast, just so that you know.
Really?
That's what I did in my
That's a
previous life. Yeah.
fascinating Ken tidbit.
Yeah. I had exactly no hits, just so that you know. Okay. It's something we can discuss never. Mike Favetta, we'll check back with you in a little bit. Thank you very much. You can tell I've had my coffee yet, can't you? We will definitely check back with you. We do have a few traffic incidents to talk about. Fortunately, it's not a big accident day right now. Of course, I just cursed it by saying that. We do have a crash on Route 139, lower level, eastbound, east of Tunley Avenue in Jersey City. The right lane is closed, but that's been picking up. It's actually getting better now in the last half hour. Still have that emergency construction at the sinkhole on I-80 eastbound exit 34, Route 15 in Horton. All lanes are closed. The governor declared a state of emergency for I-80 through that area as of yesterday, and this could take another few weeks at least. Hopefully, we've got some federal help with that as well. And we do have delays on the inner New Jersey Turnpike roadway, northbound, north of interchange 13A, which is by the airport. There's about a 3-mile delay, rather. That is all due to volume at this hour. Otherwise, things are moving right there. There are no crashes to report. At 7:22, we are just days away from a groundbreaking event in Paramus designed to empower women navigating one of life's most misunderstood stages, but something that all women encounter, menopause. And on Tuesday, March 18th, Women for Women Today presents Demystify Menopause, the Hot and Cold Truths. That's a comprehensive evening tackling everything from hormone therapy to gut health, all while raising funds for the Susan G. Komen Foundation of New Jersey, featuring a screening, a menopause marketplace, a powerhouse panel of experts. So we have a lot going on with that. And I just want to make sure, are we doing this segment now, Pamela? I want to double check. I think we may have the wrong segment all queued up here. Well, let me see where we are then. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. I got to figure out where we are. Pam, take a break. We'll come right back. I'm sorry for the folks waiting. Don't go away. This is what happens again when you're running things from home, and we don't make it a secret. I'm running this part of the show from home, and when you don't have your cup of coffee, you screw things up. Rosato screwed things up, so I apologize. It is 7:24, and Republican lawmakers are demanding the resignation of Attorney General Matthew Platkin, and there are about 1,000 reasons why that is the case. By the way, I'm no fan of the Attorney General. At the center of the firestorm, accusations that Platkin has withheld critical crime data, including domestic violence statistics, despite a legal mandate to release it. And this comes after a contentious Assembly Judiciary Committee hearing today, or yesterday rather, where lawmakers like Assemblyman Gerry Scharfenberger blasted the AG for failing in his duties. Assemblyman Scharfenberger, I promise I will not ask you questions about menopause. That's our next interview. But it is good to have you on. You can chime in if you want to hang out for that interview. You can. I apologize about that. But look, we've had story after story about Platkin. Platkin is, and I'll say it publicly, my opinion. It's not as a news anchor. It's as an opinion host. He is a menace to the state of New Jersey. This man defines progressivism and liberalism like nobody's business. And he is what I would call one of the vicious leftists you can't reason with. You can't even have a conversation with. You and your colleague, Assemblyman Robert Oth, have called for Attorney General Platkin's resignation after the Judiciary Committee hearing. Can you walk us through what happened that led to the breaking point?
Well, good morning, Ken. And one of the things that this has been a long time coming. It's been building, as you said. There's been a lot of instances over the years. And, certainly we passed a suite of bills, domestic violence bills yesterday, and we're having such trouble getting accurate data and accurate statistics in which to base the legislation on. And there's just no way to accurately and efficiently create legislation when you don't have accurate data to build upon. And that's the difficulty we're having. So one of the most basic things is to be able to get these numbers. We're not able to do, and it's gotten to the point where it's got to stop. It's time, and I think he should resign. It's the end of the governor's second term, and we really need a change to be able to effectively operate as legislators.
So he didn't release the domestic violence data since 2020, despite
Right.
a legal requirement to do so. So this is 5 years. How does this impact your ability to legislate? Because you have to vote on domestic violence bills. You have to determine how much money to spend. Yet he doesn't tell you about the stats. This is exactly, by the way, when you hear the stats that the left loves to throw out there, stats like, oh, illegal migrants cause fewer crimes than the rest of us. And here's the BS on that. Major cities where the illegal migrants live refuse to note on criminal forms if they are illegal migrants, because they don't even ask the question, are you here illegally? Therefore, when you see there are 20,000 murders in the country, you don't know who committed the murders, if they're legal or illegal. But then they use as a talking point, look, there's no statistics showing illegal migrants committed the murders. Therefore, illegal migrants commit fewer murders than us. BS. This is the kind of leftist propagandist BS that Platkin loves to pull. So why do you think he is holding back that information? Do you think because it shows bad news for the governor and that there is a spike in domestic violence in the state of New Jersey?
Sure, that's very possible. And when you distill everything through the prism of politics like that, you only want to release some data that's favorable politically, and that's not the reality on the ground. We have to deal with real hard numbers, and we have to be able to tell where the problem areas are and what we can do to help legislatively. And this is very, very difficult. A lot of times you end up depending on anecdotal data, things that we hear from local police departments. In fact, I spoke to one of the police chiefs last night, and they're very forthcoming with their data, and it's been very helpful. But to prorate that out across the state is very difficult and very inefficient. So to not have statewide data, statewide statistics is really tying our hands, and it's doing a great disservice to victims and potential victims.
Now, Assemblyman Oth accused the Attorney General of prioritizing political ambitions, of course, because he sued Trump and he catered to national unions over his job of protecting New Jersey residents, of course. And do you share the
Mhm.
view and what evidence you see of this in Platkin's actions?
It's hard to come to any other conclusion, and we've had an issue too where the Attorney General had sued several local school boards over parental rights and notification, and we really, really went to bat for the school districts in fighting back against that, and ultimately the school districts won, which we were happy to see. But it's very difficult when you're dealing with somebody's political ambitions to really do the nuts and bolts of what we have to do. And I would like to think it's not that, but it's hard to think otherwise.
Less than 2 weeks ago, the Assembly Republican leadership introduced articles of impeachment against Platkin. Of course, we have a majority of Democrats in both houses, so that makes a challenge. But you guys cited politically motivated investigations, of course, abuses of power, all that we're talking about. So what are the chances? Are there common sense Democrats who would side with you, or is this just basically spitting into the wind?
Well, we had to draw a line in the sand, and that's exactly what we did. It would be difficult with such a strong majority of Democrats in New Jersey to have this go forward, but we had to do something. And if we put it out there, and we would love for our colleagues on the other side to join with us, but we just can't ignore it and just let it go unchallenged. And this is where we're at. I think what they're going to do is just run out the clock at this point, and we'll just have to wait for a new administration to come in. But we're going to keep fighting to the end. We have to defend people who are victims, the potential victims of all sorts of criminal activity, and certainly things like the school board, where policy decisions are made that run contrary to the interests of children and parents.
Well, I think part of the problem is, and this is going to be a perennial problem in terms of the Democrat numbers in the Assembly and the Senate, until you get to redraw the districts so that you don't have guaranteed Ds. Because if you look at the districts throughout the state of New Jersey, it is almost impossible to elect Republicans in 80% of the districts. They so rigged it up so that you can only have it. I mean, if you look at some of them, they're like, let's go 100 miles out of our way here, and then let's go 80. It is so pathetic. It's like if somebody got drunk and said, Republicans will never get this. You couldn't make more ridiculously drawn districts. And that is obviously to ensure the Democrats keep hold of both houses. You guys have got to band together if you get a Republican governor and change those districts and redistrict so that this just fairness. I'm not talking about making it 100% the other way. Fairness so that Democrats and Republicans can be fairly represented.
Ken, there's a lot of changes coming into New Jersey. We saw the last election, how close President Trump came, how well he did. We're seeing registration changes in our favor throughout the state. So there are green sprouts around the state, and we're feeling very confident that we're going to improve our chances, improve our numbers, and hopefully get a more balanced legislature and, naturally, in my view, a Republican governor. And we can make these sort of changes and I think do really well in November and future elections and hopefully turn the state around. We really have a beautiful, a great state with so much potential. And we think with some solid leadership, we could really make New Jersey one of the crown jewels of this country.
All right. Assemblyman Gerry Scharfenberger, Republican in the state of New Jersey. We wish you luck. Keep our fingers crossed, all of us. Let us know what happens. I don't think you're going to end up getting an impeachment of Mr. Platkin, but I'm sure we'll all just have to take our antacids until the governor is out of office, and hopefully we get a Republican in. Thank you so much, Assemblyman.
Thank you, Ken. We're trying.
All right. Fingers crossed, sir. Keep fingers crossed. It is now 7:33. We're going to be back in just a moment. We'll have a full Garden State forecast, and we will be talking about menopause and the challenges of menopause in just a few moments. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. It's Tuesday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:33. We're taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Sunny, very mild today, becoming breezy, highs near 70. Meteorologist Mike Babetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. Looking beautiful to start off our Tuesday with highs that will beat yesterday by several degrees. We could make it into the 70s across most of central New Jersey. So another mild and downright warm day across some areas. There will be a little bit of a gusty breeze developing later on this afternoon, especially in northern New Jersey. That is as the cooler air moves in, helping to bring in some clouds and ultimately setting up a chilly forecast by the end of the week. Look at Thursday's highs, and most of New Jersey doesn't leave the 40s. So enjoy those 70s today from Camden toward Hamilton and Glassboro. You notice the closer you head toward the coast, because the ocean temperature is still in the upper 30s and low 40s, there could be a little bit of haze and fog developing along the shore, which is very common this time of year, especially with that southerly breeze. Inland, however, nice and warm and sunny, and it'll feel great today with that high beating the average by at least 20 degrees. Oh, and by the way, today is our last sunset before 7 p.m. That is until we get to August. So a very pleasant, longer evening for those that want to enjoy that very nice mild weather. Now, with all of the clear sky today, we'll have plenty of sun. A really nice way to start off the day. With the rain chances holding off until later on in the week, yeah, there could be a little blip on the radar, and I'll show you that in the Futurecast coming up later Wednesday night into Thursday morning, really only impacting northern New Jersey. But the main brunt of rain comes in for Saturday night into Sunday, and then again on Sunday night. There's a few sprinkles that move through with the front on Sunday morning, and then by Sunday evening, that's when we'll see a good punch of rain as that wet weather moves in. Air quality still good, right around the 50 and number. And then going into this afternoon, with that front sliding through, you'll notice the cooler air take over for tomorrow. High pressure tries to keep us clear, but moves away too quickly. And that's why we have those showers appearing on the map for Thursday morning before daybreak. That clears by Thursday afternoon, but we're left with the clouds for most of the day on Thursday, even a good portion of the day Friday, maybe a little bit of clearing, but we're just kind of socked in with one weather system after the next right through Sunday, and that's why there's cooler, cloudy weather on the board beyond that, and taking us in through the end of the weekend. Last day of 70 degrees today. We're in the 50s tomorrow, and we stay there through Friday. Most of the places in New Jersey might not even leave the 40s on Thursday. That's how chilly it'll feel. Saturday is gray throughout the day. Not as chilly, climbing back into the 60s, but plan on that wet weather on Sunday with rain through most of the day, and then Monday sees a clearing with highs holding in the 50s. Again, the shore points have a little bit of fog throughout the day today and cooler weather, anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees cooler than inland locations. Chilly through the rest of the week with that wind off of the water, and might even have some late day thunderstorms come through with that front by Sunday. So a cooler trend after that beautiful mild weather. One more day today, Ken. We'll tell you more about it with a detailed forecast right down to your neighborhood coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. In terms of traffic, we do have that crash on Route 139 lower level eastbound east of Tunnelly Avenue in Jersey City. The left lane remains closed, and on the Garden State Parkway northbound, north of exit 148 to exit 153A, all lanes are open, but there is a solid 5-mile delay. That again is on the Garden State Parkway northbound from 148 to 153A, which is Route 3. Also, some problems on the New Jersey Turnpike northbound, north of interchange 13A, which is the airport. All lanes are open, but there's a 4-mile delay, all volume there. And I think a lot of this is the bright sunshine at this hour. That's causing, this happens. This happens every morning. So it's 7:38, you're getting bright sunshine. Now all of a sudden I'm seeing the massive delays, not necessarily accidents, but 4, 5, 6-mile delays in some cases. And this is all happening in the last 15, 20 minutes as the sun is at full blast now that we have the daylight saving time, et cetera. So there you go. And of course, we still have the problems on I-80 eastbound at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. All lanes closed. Everybody still being detoured off. State of emergency declared by Governor Murphy, and that's going to last for the next few weeks. 7:38, we are just days away from a groundbreaking event that's happening in Paramus designed to empower women who, of course, have to navigate life's most misunderstood stages, menopause. And on Tuesday, March 18th, Women for Women Today will present Demystify Menopause, the Hot and Cold Truths, a comprehensive evening. And it tackles everything from hormone therapy to gut health, all while raising funds for the Susan G. Komen Foundation of New Jersey. And it features a movie screening, menopause marketplace, a powerhouse panel of experts. The event promises to turn frustration into empowerment. And joining us now with the organizers behind it all, T.H. Irwin, founder of Women for Women Today, and Dr. Tracy Verrico, a local gynecologist and menopause expert. Welcome to you both. And the amazing thing, I think, this is my own little 2 cents, if menopause happened to men, as the name almost implies, this would be something that would be whined about day and night. Oh, my menopause, I can't stand it. Women have had to endure this in eternity, for eternity. And I don't know how you do it. Of course, being an adult now, I can only empathize a little bit. But having seen my mother, my grandmother, my aunt, my dear friends with the incredible, excruciating headaches and the hormonal swings. God bless you. Again, humanity would have ended if men had to endure menopause. So let's start with TH if we could. You're the driving force behind Women for Women today and the event. What inspired you to create Demystify Menopause, and why focus on menopause during International Women's Month?
First of all, thank you so much for having us here and giving us a platform to talk about this. I create in-person experiences that empower and support and educate women. And for this event, I had my friends coming to me and complaining, and I would watch them sweating in front of me, literally.
Oh.
And so I decided I really needed to create an experience that addressed this and educated women and men, because we need to support our women. And Dr. Tracy Verrico and I have a working relationship. We've worked together on my past Women for Women Today experiences, and she was the right partner for this event. I am not a doctor. I don't know anything about menopause, or at least I didn't 6 months ago, but I know a lot now. And so my intention with my in-person experiences is to make a difference for women. And Dr. Tracy Verrico and I have created a comprehensive experience where we are busting the myths. We are giving you the truths. We're giving you solutions, actionable steps, and all in the name of empowerment, because if you can control your health, you can live a great life. And you don't want to believe what they say on TikTok and all those other platforms. Right. You have to get the truth.
You don't drink, you don't take a swig of olive oil at night and your menopause symptoms go away. Don't listen to TikTok. Do not listen to TikTok. Now, the event benefits, as you mentioned, right? That may help your gut health a little bit. Who knows? It's not going to cure the issues of menopause. The event benefits the Susan G. Komen Foundation. Has been around for so many years and done such a yeoman's work. You're a breast cancer survivor yourself. How does the personal experience tie into the mission of the night?
With every experience I produce, I have a nonprofit partner. I think it's really important to give back to the community. I have had local nonprofits like the YWCA, Women's Rights Information Center. And when you're going and experiencing these symptoms of menopause, and Dr. Tracy can certainly speak better to this than I can, it's hard. And as a cancer survivor, many women are forced into menopause prematurely and have to deal with the hot flashes and the night sweats and the migraines and the gut health and all of the fun things that we get to endure at this midlife stage. But we really wanted to bring Susan G. Komen in because they are at the forefront of research and change as far as the conversation around breast cancer is concerned. So they were the perfect partner for this type of an event.
I know you have as one of your big names there, Tamsin Fadal. Now, Tamsin, I know Tamsin 30 years. We're very dear friends. We were both TV reporters in New York together. In fact, I used to be a priest. I did Tamsin's last wedding, not the current, the last wedding. It's a long story, but I was actually her wedding priest. That's how well I know Tamsin. She is one of the loveliest people on the planet, and she is so into the topic. She literally left her career in broadcasting to dedicate her life to talking to women about menopause. And that speaks volumes. She's an incredible, incredible woman. Let me talk to the doctor, Dr. Verrico. Talk about what menopause is. And to the ignorant guy here, is it just basically a woman's body shuts down the production of progesterone, et cetera, and it's like withdrawal from the hormone? Is that what happens?
So, yeah, thank you for having me today. So, the purpose of this whole program is education. And so, to your point, a lot of women don't know what the basic definitions of menopause even are. So we define the time leading up to having no menstrual cycles for a full year as menopause. That time before that is coined as premenopause or perimenopause. So I explain to women that there are different phases, and basically when those ovaries stop producing estrogen and progesterone, that is when typically patients will start to have symptoms. The ovaries, I explain, are, not a light switch. They don't just turn off. There is a gradual process, almost like a gas pedal. And so women can experience fluctuating symptoms as they go through this phase. A lot of times they are not connecting the dots together in terms of what some of those symptoms can be. And most women assume it's just hot flashes and night sweats, when in fact, you can have everything from joint aches and pains, frozen shoulder, heart palpitations. So some very unusually different symptoms that most patients wouldn't connect to menopause. One of the most common symptoms in overall is really depression, anxiety, mood swings, trouble focusing, finding your words. So really affects you cognitively as well as physically.
And what do you think? Why do you think most women who are entering perimenopause, if you will, as you mentioned, I hope I got that right if I listened. Why do you think so many women are not prepared enough? Because as I mentioned, if this was a guy thing, we would hear about it from birth to death. We'd be talking about male menopause. And I know they say that men do experience something tiny, tiny, tiny in comparison, but nowhere near what women experience. Why do you think that there just isn't as much education about this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So part of it is due to the Women's Health Initiative study that came out in the early 2000s, around 2002, when I was actually in training. And that original study touted that hormone replacement therapy was actually dangerous and caused breast cancer for women, which has actually been completely disproven in 2010. The problem was that at that time, the residency programs really stopped educating their residents. And so when you poll physicians, they really still to this day talk about that under a third of them even have maybe an hour of menopause training. So even in our medical community, there is a lack of education, and there is still a lot of false narrative in the general public surrounding hormone replacement therapy. And so we're trying to change that narrative, because the data is extremely strong at showing that hormone replacement therapy for women is extremely beneficial for their health. It lowers their risk of heart disease and stroke by up to 40%. It lowers their risk of dementia. It lowers their risk of osteoporosis and bone loss. So lots of huge, impactful health benefits that later are affecting women as they're aging in their 70s and 80s.
So be your own best defense. Go find out more about this. The evening, by the way, for those who want to attend, and you should, the evening features prizes, $10,000 in prizes. There's going to be the screening of the movie The M Factor, Shredding the Silence on Menopause. And there's a VIP ticket too that you could buy that gives you access to Defy Menopause course and digital myths and facts. How do all these tools help women get beyond just the one night, TH?
To get beyond this one night? Or I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't hear your question.
In other words, yeah, I'm sorry.
Um,
The way I said it, yes, because we obviously want to be able to empower women to know not just to go and chat and have that one night, but rather to basically go out as evangelists and tell their friends, hey, there is a way out. There's more that we could learn, et cetera. So how does the movie, how do the course of the evening and what they'll be learning, how will this empower women to move forward, if you will, to leave that evening and be that much more educated?
What I know, and you guys know, is the more we know, the better we are. And when we feel good about ourselves, we want to tell people that. We want to share good news, right? We want to celebrate it. I found a solution for this thing. I can sleep at night now. My stomach doesn't hurt. All of the symptoms, we have actionable steps. They may not cure it, but they will certainly help you get relief. And ultimately, a happy person shares their happiness. You can see it in their face. They're going to start glowing again in, the way they carry themselves. Otherwise, you stay in your home and you start to get really depressed. So this night is to empower you. Knowledge is power. It is said all the time, and it needs to be said again. And it's up to you to show up for yourself. If you want a change, then make a change. And we have created this comprehensive, it's going to be fun. It's not going to be doom and gloom and depressing. We are going to keep it uplifting and positive. And then you'll have the tools. And afterwards, you can have Tamsin's book if you buy a VIP ticket. You can take Dr. Tracy Verrico's course. We have next steps for you to continue to carry you along this journey.
How can people get more information and get tickets? What is a website where they can go for more info?
So the website is demystifymenopausenj.com. That will lead you to Eventbrite, but also on that page, we have 7 other experts in gut health, sex health, brain, plus Dr. Tracy, nutrition. We have Warrior Babe, Nikki Stott, and we have Tamsin Fidel, who really is a midlife warrior and mentor. She is not afraid to tell her own story, which is very difficult and leaves people very vulnerable. But there are people like Tamsin and Tracy and myself who are willing to step forward and take a lead. So Demystify Menopause NJ, buy your VIP tickets. It gives you a ton of swag, which is fun, and information and tools that you can take with you afterwards. And of course, you can reach out to either one of us through the website.
Just for those who don't realize, Tamsin Fidel was at Channel 2 and Channel 11 for decades, and she was an extremely successful anchor and reporter. I know, like I said earlier, I know her well. She's an amazingly talented woman, and she literally just did the story of menopause once or twice and got such a huge response. And because of the men executive producers in television in New York not realizing that she touched a nerve, they would just say, oh yeah, we'll do a little 2-minute story on it. Okay. Every time she would do a story on it, the reaction would be huge. Well, you're 50.5% of the population. So how male executive producers didn't get that is beyond me. But the fact is, every time she did it, the reaction was so huge that she started her website. And the website, she has millions of followers. Millions. Well, yeah.
Yep.
How no one else did this before is beyond me. But I am so thankful that you're both doing this. TH, for you organizing this with TH Irwin Women for Women Today and gynecologist Dr. Tracy Verrico. You will be there. I hope people check out that website and show up. And men can learn a lot too. If you live with a woman, you have a mom, you have a sister, you have a girlfriend, you should educate yourself as well to be a little more empathetic. I mean, I know we kid about it, but I sat on a set for 20 years with female co-anchors who were of the age and who went through it. And I'm gay, so I'm not married to a woman, but we say our TV wife. And it's true because I'm with them. I was with them 4 and 5 and 6 hours a day, side by side, and had to endure they had to endure the headaches, the pain, the agony. And as a guy, we just don't experience it. We don't get it. So educate ourselves, males, to be more empathetic to the women in our lives. Thank you both so much for being here. I wish you lots of success. Please come back and let us know how things go. You can come back after the night too. We could keep talking about this.
That would be great.
Thank you, Ken, so much.
All right. You're awesome, both of you. Thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You bet. It is now 36 degrees. It's a little chilly at 6:53, and we are going to go back to, let's see if Mike, we don't have Mike lined up right now. We'll get Mike in a little bit. In fact, let's go to a break. Phone lines are open. We're going to take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Pavetta tells us sunshine, very mild today, becoming breezy, highs near 70, and he will have the full Garden State forecast in just a moment. You are watching on New Jersey Morning, seen daily on ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News on, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And now we are streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. We will be back in just 2 minutes. 36 degrees now at 7:55, and time for politics from Trenton explained like nobody else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, March 11th, and welcome to the Inside Edge. New Jersey politics has a history of uniquely colorful people, and that includes the time a state senator went to jail for being a pirate. Jerome Epstein was a rising star in Republican politics. At age 30, he was elected to the Union County Board of Freeholders. He helped flip control that year. They beat some incumbents elected in the LBJ landslide of 64. But he lost his seat 3 years later in a bit of an upset. And that caused Epstein to propose maybe moving freeholder elections to a different time of year so that voters wouldn't be confused over the difference between a county election and a state and a federal one. That, of course, didn't go anywhere. But in 1971, a senator was appointed to be a tax court judge, and Epstein was skilled enough to convince Union County Republicans to nominate him for the state Senate. In the general election, now you can't make this stuff up. In the general election, Epstein beat Ray Liotta's uncle Carmine by about 400 votes countywide. So here he is, 34 years old, and he's headed to the state Senate. But his stay in Trenton didn't last very long. He fought with the governor over the nomination of a judge, and he used senatorial courtesy to block the renomination of the chairman of the Port Authority. He was a big deal financier named James Kellogg. And when Epstein came up for re-election in 1973, Republicans instead gave the line to a hugely popular assemblyman, Peter McDonough. And McDonough beat Epstein in the Republican primary by 20 points. So Epstein returns to his family business, which owns fuel oil companies and gas stations. And during the energy shortage in the early 70s, Epstein rented a 115-foot barge. It was called the Lusitania. He recruited a crew, and he stole about 12 million gallons of fuel oil during a systematic series of thefts that began around 1968. What he did is rig the gauges on the barge so that he could take 4,000 gallons of oil at a time and have it look like he only took 2,000. He got caught in a 317 count indictment. He was charged with piracy. And after a 9-week trial, a jury convicted Epstein, his father, his uncle Sol, with stealing about $4 million worth of oil from Exxon tanks on the Arthur Kill in Linden. Senator Epstein was sentenced to 9 years in a state prison, but he was released after a little bit more than 3. Obviously, that was the end of his political career. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Only David Wildstein could start a story about a New Jersey senator who was a pirate. The man is amazing. He has a million great stories. It is 36 degrees right now at 7:59. When we come back, we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Plus, it is that time of year again, tax season. We will have on a guest who'll tell you the fastest way to get your tax refund. Sunny, very mild today, becoming breezy. You will like the day, though. Highs near 70 until it gets a little uglier tomorrow. Meteorologist Mike Bavetta says the full Garden State forecast will be here in just a moment, so be patient. You're watching On New Jersey Morning, seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And now we stream live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/On New Jersey. We're coming right back. And a very good morning to you. It is 8 a.m. Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Sunny and very mild today, becoming breezy with highs near 70. But will it last? We head to meteorologist Mike Pavetta with a first check of the Spring-like Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Hey, Ken, we've got a really pretty day today. Lots of sunshine, a milder feel, little gusty breezes by day's end, but overall looking pleasant. Ken, great day to get outdoors and enjoy. If you took the nap yesterday, I don't know, did you take advantage of yesterday's National Nap Day?
I did.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to go
It was
nap
great.
now.
It was great to do so, especially with you don't want to fall over. I mean, so much sunshine. It felt fantastic until that breeze came in. And if you found yourself along the waterfront, that wind coming in off of a very chilly ocean made the temperature drop like a rock beyond 2 o'clock after that sea breeze kicked in. So it'll feel very mild today in northern New Jersey, well away from the influences of that chilly ocean. 70 in Morristown, 70 in Newark, and 66 in Jersey City. What a fantastic way to wrap up a Tuesday. But then we head into tomorrow, and the cloudy, cooler weather returns and kind of sticks with us right through the weekend. Doesn't warm up again until this weekend, but then it's accompanied by rain and very gusty winds. In fact, those winds will enhance the threat of some nasty thunderstorms later on Sunday night as they push through with some strong gusty winds in advance of the storms, and then a cooler breeze by Monday, setting the stage for some chilly weather as well. Again, any rain we get is rain we could use given how dry it's been, and that drought monitor still shows that extreme drought in southern New Jersey. The rest of the state still under a drought, just not as bad because we've picked up a decent amount of rain just in the last month, above average, in fact, in the areas shaded in green, but still running dry up in northern New Jersey. Now, with the temperature outlook extending through almost the end of the month, look at how warm it gets, or at least the chances of above average temperature in southern New Jersey. That includes most of the East Coast. So we are on tap to see a slightly above average March, which is some great news temperature-wise, but also slightly wetter than average as well. You can see here that shade of green kind of taps into the northwestern section of New Jersey, which, if it proves true, would be some good news, given where that's the driest part of the state as of late. 7-day forecast keeps it dry throughout today and most of tomorrow. There's a little chance of rain later Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Probably happens while we're sleeping. It's back to dry weather on Friday and Saturday, but cloudy. And we stay cloudy right throughout the weekend, with some milder weather returning still for Sunday. Rain on the way by Sunday afternoon, and then clearing by Monday. Cooler at the coast all throughout the next week, including this weekend, where highs struggle to leave the 50s. And then I think with that rain that comes in by Sunday, might even have a ramble of thunder in there. It stays dry until next week. So a little bit of wet weather on the way, even for the shore points by this weekend. But overall, looking a little cloudy after today. So it gets cooler, Ken, after that sunny, warm finish to today.
So today's a little tease, and then we get back to reality, back to life,
Exactly.
back to reality. I won't sing.
It's that
But by the
false
way,
start to spring.
false start. Is it? It gives you something to look forward to. You get the taste.
It does.
Then when you get the
Right.
cloudy, chilly days, you keep thinking, spring was there. We had a little taste. By the way, yesterday you touched on the fact that yesterday was National Napping Day, which is one of my favorite days of the year. I look forward to it. I actually have pillows under the desk just for that. Here's why we don't like to celebrate today so much. You know what today is? National Immune System Day. All right. I mean, it is what it is. We all have one. It's also National Funeral Director and Mortician Recognition Day. Now,
Oh my goodness.
I know. Look, we all need them, sadly. I have one in my family. We have a funeral director in the family, and one of my best friends from grammar school is also a funeral director. But do they really need a day? I'm just saying. I could see if it was like National Be a Clown Day, National Balloon Day. I want to meet the guy who was like National Funeral Director Day. I could just see him like, this is just my stereotyping.
Right.
Welcome to National Funeral Director Day. I'm just saying. I just picture that. Just my thought. But then again, that's me. Mike, thank you. I better stop. Yes, Mike is like, yes, stop. All right, bud. Thank you. We'll check back with you in a little bit. We do have a couple of traffic incidents to tell you about anyway. In the Garden State Parkway Express lanes northbound south of exit 123, Route 9 in Sayreville, the right lane is blocked. We have a crash on I-76 eastbound ramp from exit 1C, which is Market Street in Gloucester City. Right shoulder closed. Use caution. We have a crash with injuries, Route 440 southbound north of US 9, the Garden State Parkway in Woodbridge. Two left lanes closed. We have a disabled vehicle on the GWB lower level eastbound approaching the New Jersey side toll plaza in Fort Lee. The left lane is blocked. Crash on 295 northbound, north of exit 32, which is Haddonfield Berlin Road in Cherry Hill Township. The right shoulder closed, about 10-minute delays. We have a crash on 139 lower level eastbound east of Tunley Avenue in Jersey City with the left lane closed, and still have that emergency construction and sinkhole repair at I-80 eastbound exit 34 in Wharton, which is Route 15. That's going to be closed with detour traffic for the foreseeable future. It is 8:06 now, and we have a temperature of 36 degrees. And with the April 15th tax deadline fast approaching, millions of Americans are racing to file their returns and secure their refunds as quickly as possible. But could recent IRS layoffs throw a wrench into the process? You call that number for help and you wait forever and you never know who you're going to get. Well, here to help us navigate this critical time is E. Martin Davidoff, who is a nationally recognized tax expert, attorney, and CPA. Marty's a partner in charge at Prager Metis based in Cranberry, New Jersey. He has over 35 years experience in tax controversy, IRS problem resolution, and income tax planning. Marty, thank you so much for joining us. And let me just start off by saying, I always say, if it costs $50 or $100 to get a program or to go to somebody who is a tax preparer, spend the other 100 or 200 and go to a professional like yourself. I'm just saying, I've been doing that for 25 years because a friend of mine became a CPA, and it just makes so much more sense and avoids the headaches down the line. So there's a little commercial for you guys. Let's start with the basics. We're just over a month away from the April 15th tax deadline. What are the top 3 things, Marty, that everybody should be doing right now to ensure they could file on time and get their refund as soon as possible?
Well, you touched on the first one, and that is to decide who's going to prepare your return. Is it going to be you, yourself, a friend, or if you're going to hire a professional? So that's the first thing that you should do, is decide who's going to do that. The second thing is to gather your documents. Get them all together. Get your W-2s, get your 1099s, get your partnership distributions, get your capital gains and loss summaries, and get them all together. The third thing you should be doing is probably setting up an IRS account. Go to irs.gov. They have a id.me section on the website, and get yourself an IRS account so you can take a look at what the IRS has on you, whether it's they have W-2s, maybe you missed one, you can look that up. And also, as transcripts come in later in the year, if you go on extension, you can look those up. So those are the first 3 things you should be looking at as you start.
Right there. I thought I knew enough about this. I had no idea this account exists. So what is it again? It's irs.gov/ tell me again.
Well, if you go to irs.gov and just Google, search id.me or taxpayer account, you can get your own account. That account will show you, what estimated payments you have made during the year. It will show you if you owe any money from prior years. It's a very valuable tool that everybody should have at this point and should set up. And the states have similar accounts.
Yeah, I had no idea. Because I've had a CPA for years, but I had no idea. This is brilliant, and this is why you're a CPA. This is why you do what you do professionally. And a lot of people procrastinate, of course, because it's just one of those things. It's like death and taxes, right? It's one of those things nobody likes to do. They procrastinate till the very last second. What would you say the biggest mistake that you see taxpayers make that delays the refunds, and how can they avoid that?
Well, it really is a whole many mistakes. Well, first of all, don't get trapped into thinking that you have to pay all your taxes by April 15th or that you have to necessarily file by April 15th. If you don't have all your paperwork together, you can file for an extension until October 15th. But you need to file the extension because a late filed return will cost you 5% per month, up to 25% in penalties. You don't want to have that. And if you can't pay by April 15th, the extension is a time to file, but not an extension of time to pay. If you can't pay, you need to, start dealing with that. You're going to get hit with interest and penalties, and the penalty is much less. It's 0.5% per month. But the key is to be current on 25. And if you can't pay for 24, the IRS has lots of ability to get an installment agreement, lots of opportunities to try to ameliorate your problem. So long as you start being current in 25 and 26 and 27, you can get an installment agreement. But if you just become too afraid and not file at all, then the penalties really add up. And our department that we do controversy and we help people, we basically give them peace of mind, and we advocate for them in trying to get the right resolution when they can't pay and they have issues, and we get them back on the right path.
And this is what you do. So, I mean, that's if anyone has fear about this, trepidation that there'll be some mean guy at the door with a gun. No, you call somebody like Marty. Marty, that's your job, right? To make sure that the IRS stays at bay.
Right.
I'm sure you deal with them every single day.
But the IRS,
and
even when fully staffed a few months ago, people don't show up with guns. They send you letters. They say you owe the money. Here are the penalties, and call us. And they truly try to get you, if you can reach them on the phone. And that's one of the things you alluded to, is what's going to happen as a result of, the reduction in staff. And it's going to get harder to get on the phone. It's going to be more difficult.
Yeah, so
and that's going to be a
let's
reality
talk
for a
about
while
that.
until they. Yep.
Let's talk about that,
Yeah.
Marty, because it's going to, what do you think, will this impact having a reduction in IRS staff? Is it going to impact tax return processing or refund delivery or getting somebody on the phone for preparation? What do you think?
Yes. Well, probably not refund delivery, because most of that is automated. The IRS really knows that this is their number one priority, is getting refunds out. So I think that's not going to be, a problem. But getting people on the phone, when you can't hire the people to answer the phones, that's going to happen. When you let go of the people who've just been trained over the last year or two as they expanded to try to relieve that problem, that's going to be a problem. The administration, though, ultimately wants to have a lot of automation replacing this, and hopefully they will invest in technology, and people will have alternative ways of getting their issues resolved. That's the hope. And we will see. We all don't know yet exactly what's going to happen, but clearly for this tax season, people will not get through the phones for their questions as easily.
Yeah, I mean, it has to, right? That's got to be the case. If you're gonna, I love when they say, "Oh, you won't be impacted." Of course, it's going to be impacted. You just laid off 5,000 people. How's there not going to be a ripple effect?
Right.
And Marty, I remember my CPA telling me that he said, file as quickly as you can when you get all your paperwork together. Don't delay. Don't just keep putting it off. Oh, I'll go next week. I'll go the week after. I'll go 2 weeks from now. Because number one, people do steal Social Security numbers and file in your place, right? But if you file first, that kind of cuts them off of the pass and prevents that from happening, right?
Well, that's true. And the other thing is you can get a PIN, a personal identification number from the IRS that you can put on your return. And once you have that PIN, people would have to have the PIN in addition to your Social Security number, your other information, in order to do that. So one of the things, if you're concerned about security, do that. But there is also a counter argument to say, listen, let's not file early. I'm waiting for a K-1 on a partnership or an S corporation. I'm waiting for information. I want to get inaccurate information. I don't want to rush and make a mistake. If you have a relatively simple return, your accountant's advice is correct. I have a W-2, I have interest and dividends, some investments, and I'll do those early. But if you have things that are more complicated, you don't want to rush to get it and have a mistake. But you do want, if you are ready now and you can get it prepared, that'd be great. And some of the things is, talk about mistakes. Sometimes people will get a stock option, and that stock option will get exercised, and then there'll be a stock sale, and they forget that the stock sale has to be reported also. And then they get a matching notice later on. And one of the other things that people are not aware of, most people in this country don't itemize. And I don't know if your audience is aware, but when you do, a lot of people are doing sports betting. We got the NCAA coming up. We had the Super Bowl last month. And, people gamble and they win and they lose. And under the U.S. tax laws, and New Jersey is different, under the U.S. tax laws, you can't offset your winnings against losings. You have to report your winnings above the line on your tax return, and only if you itemize can you report the losses. So if I go down to Atlantic City every Saturday and win $100, and every Sunday I lose $100, I made
Mm-hmm.
$5,200 on Saturdays, and I have to report that on my page 1 of my tax return. The $5,200 of losses I can only take if I itemize my deductions. Almost 90% of the people don't itemize. So you have this
Right.
interesting thing in the law that I'm trying to change, whereby people may make zero money on gambling, but have to report $5,200 in my example, and pay
And you know
taxes
what?
when
You
they
just
made nothing.
explained that. You just explained that. I'm sorry to step on you. Better than anyone else ever explained it in pure English. Thank you for making that so clear. Because when you talk about losses
You're
and
welcome.
gains and blah, 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 I think that everybody just hears mom, mom, mom. They hear the Snoopy teacher, and they don't or the Peanuts teacher, and they don't think about what you're talking about. Thank you for being so clear about that. If somebody gets that dreaded letter in the mail about an audit or a dispute, what is the first step they should do to resolve it efficiently and so they don't have to be stressed out about it?
All right. They should go to a specialist who deals with tax controversy. And let me give you an example. Most CPAs are great at being your family CPA, much like your doctor is great at being your family physician. But you won't ask your doctor to do heart surgery. Dealing with the IRS is a specialty. I'm like the cardiologist of tax controversy. I'm the specialist, and my team of 20 people at Prager Metis, we're the specialists. And therein lies the thing. Ask your CPA who's a specialist in this who can help us. And don't expect your CPA to do it for free. All right. A lot of people say, hey, it must be your fault. Go do it for free. Rather, if you have a significant issue, get a consultation with a specialist. They'll walk you through, just like I walked you through gambling, they'll walk you through exactly what it means, what your options are, and how to deal with it.
Yeah, it is amazing. I'm shocked when I walk into my CPA's office, and you're right. You find your CPA, and if you don't have one, Marty's a perfect one to get. And by the way, you don't have to be in the same town as your CPA. You could mail it in, you could email it in, et cetera, right? So they could use you guys. When you find that CPA that you trust and love, stick with that CPA. Mine, I'm shocked. I walked into the office. They know I haven't seen him in a year, and yet he knows everything about. He remembers every name, family member. How's this one? How's that
Like your
one?
family
Yet
doctor.
they have hundreds of people. And they have hundreds of people they deal with. I just don't know how he keeps track in his mind. And yet I know he has 500 clients to process, yet he sit down, have a cup of coffee, and he talks. I don't know how you guys do it. Finally, listen, looking ahead, Marty, what is a piece of advice that you give taxpayers now so that next year's filing season will go like a piece of cake and there won't be any challenges in spite of potential changes with the IRS on the horizon?
Well, a couple of things. If you have a business, keep good records. Talk to your CPA or get a good bookkeeper to keep good records, because that's a big mistake, especially with the gig economy here. People are earning money and they're not keeping track of their expenses properly. They're estimating. That's one thing. And the other thing is, if you are going to earn additional money this year, maybe that you haven't earned in the past, again, set up estimated payments or increase your withholding. Make sure that you're putting aside enough money to cover it so you don't have penalties at the end of the year.
All right, Marty E. Martin Davidoff, a nationally recognized tax expert, attorney, and CPA, partner in charge at Prager Metis, based in Cranberry, New Jersey. What's your website, Marty?
Our website is www.pragermetis.com. And I'm not the managing partner of the whole firm. I just manage the controversy department. Glenn Friedman and Lori Roth are our managing partners. Thank
you for clarifying that. And it's Prager, Prager, Metis, Metis, for those who want to double check the spelling. Thank you so much for being with us, Marty. And, through the year, don't be a stranger. Come back, because there's always quarterly taxes for everybody in business. So we'd love to hear from you again. Thanks for being on this morning.
Glad to join you. Thanks.
All right, you bet. I know you're busy, so have a good day and a good season. You're awesome. It is 8:19 right now, and we have 37 degrees. It's going to be sunny and very mild, becoming breezy with highs near 70. Meteorologist Mike Babetta returns with your full Garden State forecast, and we will take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:20. We are taking your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Sunny and very mild today, becoming breezy, highs near 70. Wow, that's going to be a 34-degree hike from where we are right now. We go right to meteorologist Mike Pavetta with the Garden State forecast. I love when you have the bright sunshine on a day like this, Mike, and how it can just make the temperature go straight up like a rocket.
Yeah. Right. Very low humidity. Also, our director Pam mentioned the moon was so clear last night because of all of the dry air, that low humidity, less schmutz in the atmosphere, making for a very pretty sky and allowing for that temperature to skyrocket in a matter of hours today. So while it is chilly across most of northern New Jersey, we're beginning at 30 in Morristown, 30 as well up in Sussex, 28 chilly in the Pine Barrens there. Back over toward Toms River, you'll notice a big jump in temperatures today, especially with that dry air and sunshine warming us up very nicely. Calm breezes too, that always helps, especially with a light wind around now. We'll stay nice and dry. Temperatures already a little bit warmer than this time yesterday, and we'll continue that warming trend. Any of those clouds from last night due to a system offshore stay there, so we'll enjoy a nice clearing this afternoon, and that's what helps these temperatures keep on warming in through the end of the day. Getting up to 65 in Trenton by 1 o'clock, even toward Newark and Hackensack, mid-60s for you around the lunch hour. But we're not done there. We keep going all the way to near 70 by 4 o'clock this afternoon. A very pleasant feel. Again, the wind coming off of the water is going to make those coastal locations so much cooler, especially with your 47 at that hour on LBI. So take note, headed toward the shore, it turns much, much cooler by this afternoon with that late day sea breeze. Throughout the overnight tonight into tomorrow, a few clouds try and work their way in, but it's really the winds later on tonight into tomorrow that make it feel cooler and help that 46 degrees feel quite chilly tomorrow evening. So a much cooler feel setting in for Wednesday and Thursday, and with a few spotty sprinkles by Thursday morning before daybreak. They clear out by the time of the morning commute. Look at what we're left with. Temperatures in the 30s, staying in the 40s for Thursday with cloudy skies. Even most of the day in Morristown and Sussex might not even get up into the 40s. So a big change coming that you'd expect for March, where you get one day is gorgeous and sunny and 70, and the next you're stuck in the 40s with clouds. That's what's on the way by the end of the week. We try and salvage Friday with a few breaks of sun, maybe climb into the 50s, but the weekend, pretty wet. Pretty damp and very windy. We'll talk more about those winds and what to expect with the upcoming check of your weekend forecast, Ken. It's in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. It is now 36 degrees at 7. Make that 8:23. Haven't gotten the new clock yet, by the way. We'll get the new clock. It's coming today. Went on Amazon, getting a new one. All right. So hopefully by tomorrow we'll have the correct hour. It's only the year 2025, Mike. We'll figure this out. I promise you. Promise. Okay, sir. We have a crash on I-287 southbound north of exit 13 in Bridgewater Township. One left lane closed. Disabled vehicle Route 1 southbound south of New Road in South Brunswick Township. The left lane is closed there. Crash on 295 southbound north of exit 67, which is Route 1 in Lawrence Township. Right shoulder closed, so use caution there. Disabled vehicle on the Garden State Parkway express lanes northbound south of exit 123, which is Route 9 in Sayreville, the right lane blocked there, and a crash on I-76 eastbound ramp from exit 1C 634, which is Market Street, Gloucester City, right shoulder closed, use caution. Crash with injuries, Route 440 southbound north of Route 9, Garden State Parkway in Woodbridge Township, 2 left lanes closed, and a crash on Route 139 lower eastbound east of Tunnelly Avenue in Jersey City. A left lane is closed. Still have that emergency construction and sinkhole repair I-80 eastbound at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. All lanes are closed, being detoured off, causing massive delays. State of emergency declared by Governor Murphy yesterday, and that's going to be the case for weeks. It's 8:24 now, and the Bible teaches us that Noah and his ark saved humanity and all the animals from certain annihilation during an ancient flood. I'm going to ask Pam to pull up the images, if we can, of Noah's ark. So 5,000 years now after we are taught those floodwaters receded, scientists believe right there that they have discovered the location of the famous boat. An international team of researchers claims a boat-shaped mound 18 miles south of Mount Ararat in Turkey is actually the fossilized remains of a wooden vessel. The Duropinar Formation is a 538-foot geological structure made of a type of iron ore called limonite. It's long captivated researchers due to the fact that its shape and structure almost perfectly match those given for the Ark in the Bible. But new evidence that they just unveiled now shows the mound really did experience what appears to be a devastating flood 5,000 years ago between 3,000 and 5,500 BC. They found fossilized remains of sea life and whatnot up high in the mountain. So for that to happen, there had to have been a flood to wash all of the sea life all the way to the top of the mountain. So you're looking at what might very well be biblical history in reality, about 18 miles away from Mount Ararat in Turkey. It is 8:26. Remember during the campaign how all your friends said, hey, Trump could never deport all of those illegal aliens there. He's just too many. That's the way my friends said it to me. Well, now it looks like he's found a way. Self-deportation. Why would they do that? Listen up. You know that same app the Biden administration was using to help illegals flow into the United States by scheduling appointments at ports of entry to be paroled? Well, that same app that they all have on their phones is now being used to help illegals in the U.S. to self-deport out. The new app replaces the CBP One app. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says the CBP Home app gives aliens the option to self-deport so they may still have the opportunity to return legally in the future to live the American dream. See? So if they do it voluntarily, they tell the government, hey, I know you know I'm here illegally. I'm going to go. And then while I'm in whatever home country I'm from, I will apply to come in legally. Perfect. All no foul, no harm. We're friends. It all works out. You could apply to come in legally. If you do not, and we find you here illegally, you will then get deported and you will never, ever, ever have the opportunity to return to the United States. There is the incentive. So leave on your own right now and attempt to return legally, or you will be caught and permanently banned from ever returning to the U.S., or even worse, you could be jailed. So that's the incentive to leave on your own. And I think you're going to see hundreds of thousands, if not millions, self-deporting who are here illegally. 8:27, dramatic moments in a suburb of Orlando, Florida. You have to see this video. This happened Monday morning as a tornado blew right over a TV station while they were live on the air reporting this. See this guy right here? His name is Brooks Garner. He is a meteorologist for WOFL TV. That's the Orlando Fox affiliate. Now watch what happens. What's on the bottom right is their tower cam. So they have their TV transmitting tower right outside of the TV station. And while he was live on the air, he saw some warnings on the radar that it looked like there might be tornado formation happening and heading toward them. So now he brings it up full. That on the left to the middle, that's a tornado headed right for them in real time while he was live on the air. He calmly warns everybody at the station to get under their desks or go to a designated safe spot. This is the inside of a tornado right there. This is unbelievable to watch this. So debris starts flying. Their TV station, by the way, is built to withstand tornado strength winds, 200, 250 miles an hour. And so but all of them, including he, got under a desk, which is what you're taught to do. I lived in Florida many years. Now, Florida, by the way, does not usually get tornadoes. They do get hurricanes, but hurricane force winds, those buildings are built to withstand up to 250 miles an hour. Most tornadoes that would form in Florida would be, Mike Favetta could tell us clearer, but usually they get the one, 0 or 1, EF1 or EF0 tornadoes in Florida. The Midwest can get the 4s and the 5s, but usually Florida gets this is a small one. But nonetheless, you could see what it looks like inside the belly of the beast, inside the middle of a tornado. That's what it looks like. And that meteorologist should win an award because he kept his viewers calm, he never lost his cool, and he made everybody in the station seek shelter. What a wonderful guy. Great guy, total pro. It's amazing that that he was able to literally keep everybody calm and cool throughout. Brooks Garner, that is a name I promise you will hear more of in the future. He will not be in the Orlando market for long. I promise you that. It is 36 degrees now at 8:30. The phone lines are open. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. When we come back, the war in Ukraine has impacted millions of people in many different ways, including thousands of Americans wanting to adopt children from that war-torn nation. Also, meteorologist Mike Pavetta says sunny and very mild today, becoming breezy, highs near 70. The full Garden State forecast in a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Morning, seen daily on ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X, and streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. We're coming right back. And welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. It's 8:31 right now. We have 37 degrees, and it is time to check the Garden State forecast, and a pretty one it is. If you like mild spring weather, meteorologist Mike Pavetta says you will hug this day. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, big hugs all around. Temperatures in the low 70s in central New Jersey. Ken, a great way to start off a Tuesday with, yeah, I know, plenty of sunshine around this afternoon and a very pleasant feel into the end of the day, even with highs that climb into the low 70s. Will stay in the low 70s through this evening. Interior sections of New Jersey. If you head toward the coast, that's where you'll feel the chills settle in. 59 in Long Branch, that's an understatement. It could be as cool as the 40s down toward Seaside and LBI there along the barrier islands with that wind coming off of the water. So much colder weather today, but at least the sun will keep you warm. And remember, it is still important to wear sunscreen this time of year because the UV index at a 4, which is at the moderate level, you could burn in a little bit of time considering how strong the sun is, and you probably want to be out in it all day long anyway. With the gusty winds that take over later on this evening, you'll notice a bit more of a breeze today as compared to yesterday. Well, that's in advance of some changes in the weather, which comes in with some clouds by tomorrow with that easterly breeze, and also provides a little bit more of the overcast lasting through the rest of the week. Cooler weather as well. So a lot of those systems are off to our north or south today. No worries about rain or cloud cover today. But by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, notice the futurecast after a lovely day finishing in the upper 60s and low 70s statewide. Look at tomorrow's highs. 40s. That's it. It's going to feel a whole lot cooler with that northeasterly breeze and, of course, the cloud cover keeping us chilly in the northern sections of the state. Might even squeeze out a few sprinkles. Could be a few frozen precip particles in there. You know, the snow, rain, that sort of thing. And then by later on Thursday, it stays cool and cloudy. Now, by Friday, we could get a few breaks in the clouds and for some sunshine briefly. Maybe that warms us up into the 50s, but it's not looking great and certainly not as beautiful as this afternoon because for Saturday, completely overcast, temperatures barely reaching 50. And while it's windy to start the day on Saturday, there could be a few morning sprinkles around. Most of the action comes in later Sunday night with that line of showers and storms that moves across New Jersey. So very wet weather to wrap up the weekend after what will start out pretty cloudy and turn only wetter as the days go along. Good news is I think Sunday doesn't really begin next week on a cloudy note because there is clearing thanks to that front that pushes through. That'll dry things out by next week, and we should start to get some more mild weather in here, Ken, come St. Patrick's Day. So some better news for the parades all across New Jersey.
St. Patrick's Day, one of my favorites. Look, I see I'm wearing green today, wearing the green in forward thinking of the great day of St. Patrick. We love St. Patrick's Day. Nothing like Favetta and Rosato. Speaking of St. Patrick's Day, I love that. All right, sir. You know, we're from the Irish part of Italy. That's what we're from. Our families. We'll check back with you in a little bit, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. It is 37 degrees. The time now is 8:35. Pardon me. And in terms of traffic, we have a disabled tractor trailer on the turnpike. The outside exit interchange, or just outside exit for the interchange 7, which is Route 206 in Bordentown Township. A left lane is blocked there, and a disabled vehicle on Route 1 southbound south of New Road in South Brunswick Township. The left lane is closed. Crash on 287 southbound north of exit 13, Route 28 in Bridgewater. One left lane closed. Emergency construction and that sinkhole repair I-80 eastbound at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. All lanes closed, people being detoured off, and that will be the foreseeable future, we are told. Delays on Route 73 southbound south of High Street in Maple Shade Township, north of 295 to Mount Laurel Township. All lanes open, but there are massive delays due to volume. And delays on Route 130 southbound approaching Route 38 in Pennsauken Township. All lanes are open, but big delays again due to morning volume. 36 degrees now at 7, make that 8:35. It has been over 3 years since Russia's invasion of Ukraine began. And for more than 200 American families, the war has frozen their dreams of adopting Ukrainian orphans. A moratorium on adoptions imposed by Ukraine has left these children in limbo, many now displaced to Poland. We're joined by two advocates fighting to change that. Former New Jersey Senator Raymond Lesniak has been pushing to lift the moratorium, including efforts in Washington to pass a resolution urging the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, to act. Alongside him is Artur Gorniewski, who is the president and founder of the Health Foundation, who's been on the ground supporting these orphans for the past 2.5 years. I want to thank you both for being with us this morning. Senator Lesniak, let's start with you. You've been working tirelessly in Washington to address the adoption moratorium. Tell us about the steps that you've taken, like the resolution to compel President Zelensky, and where the efforts stand today.
I am so frustrated that our politicians, and I used to be a politician, that our politicians have not grabbed the hold of this. We had meetings at the State Department. Senator Schumer was involved. We got Senator Booker involved. Congressman Chris Smith and Don Norcross to urge Ukraine to resume these adoptions. These children, these orphans, were separated because they're orphans, and then they bonded with American families who wanted to have a welcoming home for them, and now they were separated again. Ukraine resumed, of course, when Putin invaded, all adoptions were suspended by Ukraine. But since then, they've resumed adoptions for Ukrainian families. But how about these American families? I'm appealing to President Trump. I couldn't get through to President Biden. Yes, I'm a Democrat, but this is not a political issue. These are children who want a loving family and American families who want these children. It's a perfect match.
I think everybody's with you, no matter where they stand, Democrat, Republican, or what. We're talking about kids, and put politics aside. This is about kids, and it breaks your heart to think these poor kids have been living through, babies, innocent, living through disaster, the disaster of having their country invaded, war, probably members of their extended families killed in war. And here, American families want to show love and take them in, and they're being stopped. Why do you think the Zelensky administration is continuing this moratorium on adoption? Well, what do you think is holding this back?
Well, but the roadblock we seem to have gotten from their Health and Human Services people is, well, these are Ukrainian children and we want them adopted by Ukrainian families. Well, guess what? That's not happening. And open up your hearts to America. We did supply $32 billion worth of warfare, which I totally agree on, but give these families a chance. I don't believe it's gotten to President Zelensky himself, but unfortunately, the Health and Human Services administration of his administration seems to feel that, we must keep these children in Ukraine, but that doesn't help these kids at all, and it certainly is not helpful for these American families.
Yeah, and there are over 200 American families, including many from New Jersey, in the process, as you mentioned, of adopting these Ukrainian orphans, in many cases bonding with them. So their hearts must be broken right now. And of course, the war breaking out stopped everything. So what's been the biggest roadblock in Washington? I mean, we hear about Ukraine, but what about Washington? Has Washington been dragging its feet as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I guess this has not reached a level of importance to them. But what can be more important than children and families getting together? We visited orphanages in Poland, and we brought them gifts. But what they really wanted was our presence. We high-fived them. They grabbed us, but we were only there for a couple hours. They need a family. And our State Department really has ignored the issue totally. I don't understand it, but I'm going to keep fighting for sure with Carolina Denhart and Arthur. We're going to make this happen. We're not going to give up.
Oh, speaking of Arthur, I'm sorry, we haven't brought you on yet. Let's do that right now. Arthur is president of the HELP Foundation. You've been boots on the ground for 2.5 years trying to help evacuate these poor orphans from Ukraine and supporting them in Poland. What's the situation like for the kids today, and what kind of aid, educational, medical, otherwise, has your team been able to provide them?
So first of all, thank you very much for having us in here today. And I would like this to be heard that we, the nation of Eastern European countries, Poland, Ukraine, we are very thankful to all the Americans ever since Woodrow Wilson included his 13th out of 14 points after World War I that Poland, which was also a big part of Ukraine over then, should be an independent country after World War I. Then look, Ronald Reagan comes to Berlin in 1987 and says, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. So it's been 100 years when we have really felt amazing support from the US in our case in general. And this is exactly how it is right now. We are very thankful to Senator Lesniak, Carolina Denhart for being in here with us. We feel you from the very beginning of the war. And so to answer your question, Ken, well, the situation is ongoing. So the children must have realized over last years that the situation is not changing very much. The hope is the thing that dies last. And I must say that these children are very strong. They are much stronger than myself. When I remember myself when I was a kid, they are super strong. And they are aware that there was an American family that was waiting for them. And they were literally packing their bags, some of them. They were on the way to the US to start their new life, to create their new world. And no, it's not happening. Now, one day there is an information. They must leave their orphanage. They must come to some new place called Poland. For at the beginning 7,000 of them. Now still about 3,000 resettled Ukrainian orphans are in Poland. And this is something that I had to do in my personal life, as far as I am a historian, and I've been telling this story to the people, travelers from all the planet Earth here in Poland. Then I had to take care of it myself. And then I was blessed to meet Carolina Denhart and Senator Lesniak, who really did such an amazing things for us in here, that we know that we will not break down. We know that we will continue, and we know that we will win and will prevail. We have no doubts. We understand that it will take time, and we are prepared for this. So as for the healthcare for the children, it's guaranteed by the Polish government. Every resettled Ukrainian orphan is provided the same healthcare as a regular Polish child. As for the education, both Polish education is available for the children, but they are using Ukrainian teachers who are in Ukraine right now during the video calls. So that our mission is to organize additional sports activities. Dentists must be organized privately. Then we want to organize tours. This is what we have been doing. It's wehelpwelive.com, where you can find out a lot about our current missions.
And by the way, for people that don't realize, and I only know because I have several friends from Poland, and they go back and forth, and they tell me what effort the Polish government has been making, and the Polish people bringing in tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians since the war began. Opening their homes, bringing in children, and supporting the Ukrainians who've been suffering so much. And I think Americans, we just can't grasp that. Imagine having Canadians in a state of war, and just hundreds of thousands, or in our case, because of the size of our country, millions of Canadians pouring across the border, and we open up our homes. That's what Poles are doing. They've been helping, and it's been going on for years. And you don't speak the same language. It's similar, but it's not the same. So it's kind of even hard to communicate, right? But I'm assuming people on the border kind of can speak a little of each language. But God bless Poland and the people for doing this. And you mentioned, by the way, we just want to make reference to Carolina Denhart. She was supposed to be on. She couldn't make it this morning, but Carolina has been a very instrumental and very helpful in this, and we just want to make sure she's mentioned. You facilitated visits, Arthur, for Senator Lesniak and Carolina to see the kids. And what is the emotional toll that you've witnessed on these orphans who are stuck there in limbo, literally for 2-3 years? For a little kid, 2 to 3 years is an eternity.
Well, Senator saw it himself. And so what these children need the most is voluntarily spend time by the adults with them. So most of the people they know are their age, are another orphans, and some of their guardians were orphans before, and now they continue just working in the orphanage that they come from. So when older adults come who have their own life, their own problems that they faced and overcame, they like listening these stories. They love listening to story of Carolina Denhart and all the things that she struggled with and then won at the end of the day. And we've got many visitors, also local, my high school friends who created their companies, some real estate people who started from zero to hero, and children are just listening to these stories. They would listen to your story, Ken. How did it become that? How did it happen that you become a journalist, right? And they just love listening to the adults, spending time with them. We must find balance, like when to hug, or maybe just skip the hugging section, because if you are not coming back anytime shortly, then you must be very reasonable. Say what you will do and then do this. I had some visitors who knew that will not come anymore. I will not forget this gentleman from Louisville, Larry Foreman, who said, listen, I am not coming back. I know that I came to you today. I'm happy to spend time with you, but I am not coming back. And then the children adored this honesty, because they know, they feel when someone, is giving them empty promises, for instance, and they feel it, they feel it. And then such honesty, just telling truly who you are. This is what helps them to grow up. Listen, in the future, we want them to provide to their society, to provide to their circle. We are not helping in this growing up process in here by only giving candy. We want to create an environment where they understand that the world is theirs, and they must think of who they want to be in the future. They must be given proper tools by people who spend time with them, by listening to proper stories, by having proper examples, so that in the future they can support Ukraine, because Ukraine
These are
cannot
children.
be
These are little adults, right? This is the future. And I don't mean to cut you off, Arthur. We're running out of time. I have about 30 seconds left. I just want to get the senator back in. How can people help? What can people do to help out, and whom should they call?
I would suggest our Secretary of State Rubio. He's new on the job. Let's get him involved. I know he has a lot on his hands with Israel and Ukraine and Putin. But these kids, it's important also. Let's call your representative, get them involved. That's what they get paid for. Let them do something. Let them bring these kids back to America with these American families.
All right. Former Senator Lesniak, thank you. You're a good man for doing this. And Help Foundation President and founder Artur Gorniewski. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, sir. Thank you both for being with us. You're both saints in heaven for being here on earth doing this yeoman's effort for these poor kids. And I pray to God these kids and the families get united and they get to live a nice, prosperous, healthy, and happy life in the United States. Thank you both very much for being with us.
God bless.
Thank you very much.
God bless you both. Thank you. It is now 8:49. Let's go ahead to meteorologist Mike Pavetta, because he is promising us beautiful sunshine today. And you know what, Mike, in all the years I know him, he's never lied to me. I know Mike since he was 3 years old. Okay, I'm lying now. But in the short time that I've known Mike Favetta, he has always told me the truth. And he says, Ken, this is a humdinger. Parts of New Jersey are going to be into the 70s. Being a man into my 70s, I like to hear that. Here's Mike with the forecast.
Thank you, Ken. What an introduction. It's really hard to follow that, live up to it.
I was just looking at the screen waiting for you to come up to the camera.
I do have, however, something I wanted to point out is that there's a little bit of that smog setting up across some parts of the coastal neighborhoods, especially up toward Bergen and Hudson County along the Hudson River, because of that very stagnant air. And the high pressure that's giving us our sunny weather today is actually allowing for that air quality to drop. So the forecast air quality, it's almost reaching that moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups level, and that'll keep things quite looking smoggy, if you will, in the northeastern corner of the state, where you see those numbers up in the 80s. Again, they're under 100, so it's not dangerous, but still, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable for those maybe running around today, doing some errands and exerting yourselves if you're sensitive to those particles in the atmosphere due to that atmospheric inversion, a fancy word just to say that little smog around. We've got some sunshine on tap for the rest of the day, but once that front passes through tonight, it helps to clear the air and stir that air up, allowing for a pleasantly clear way to start off our Thursday. But again, there'll be clouds around for most of the day with that northeasterly breeze pulling in pretty gray sky to wrap up the week. And it stays gray even into Saturday and Sunday with our next warm front pushing in, allowing for highs to climb into the upper 60s by the weekend, but it's going to be with clouds and some showers by Sunday. Last day of 70 degrees today. It's going to look great this afternoon. Then it kind of goes downhill from there. Rain and clouds with showers with cooler weather as temperatures warm up only into the upper 60s by Sunday, but chilly until we get there. It's even for the shore points cooler for you as well, with that chilly ocean breeze blowing in, allowing for temperatures to stay slightly below average into the end of the week. We've got more details on what to expect, and you can always catch the forecast, Ken. It loops 24/7. I'm looking at the computer. Send out a new update now, hourly, to our channel, ONNJ.com, so you can catch the updates all day long.
Well, I'm glad it loops because I'm a loopy kind of guy. So that all works out. Thank you very much, Mike. We'll catch you tomorrow morning, sir.
See ya.
All right, you bet. A nice day. Oh, I love to hear that forecast. All right. We have some traffic to tell you about. A crash on Route 29 northbound north of 295 in Hamilton Township. The left lane is blocked. There's about a 10-minute delay. We have an earlier incident on Route 139 lower level eastbound east of Tenley Avenue, Jersey City. The left lane remains closed from that. Disabled tractor trailer, New Jersey Turnpike outside of the exit interchange 7. Route 206 in Bordentown Township, a left lane is blocked. A crash on 287 southbound north of exit 13, which is Route 28, Bridgewater Township, a left lane closed. We have delays on the New Jersey Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound from the southern mixing bowl to south of interchange 15 WI-280 in Newark. All lanes open, but there's a 2-mile delay from volume. Delays on the GWB upper level eastbound. All lanes are open, but the travel time is nearly an hour on I-95 from I-80 to the Alexander Hamilton Bridge. Just avoid that if possible. That's a mess. And of course, we still have that emergency construction and sinkhole repair on I-80 eastbound at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. All lanes closed and being detoured, and that will be the foreseeable future as Governor Murphy has now declared a state of emergency for I-80 through Wharton, hoping for some federal help at this point. It is 38 degrees, 8:54. The most dangerous state for pedestrians in the entire nation, New Jersey. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has released figures that paint a grim picture. In 2024 alone, 223 walkers were killed by a vehicle. That is a 23% jump from the year before. But listen to this twist. Over half of all the pedestrian fatalities involved alcohol or drugs in the system. Not of the driver necessarily, of the pedestrian. So you got people walking around stoned on pot or some other drug or alcohol, but in many cases pot. They're smoking pot. They're looking at their phones, walking across the street, not paying attention, getting hit by a car. So the issue here is not necessarily reckless driving in every case or drunk driving. It's drunk walking and stoned walking. That's a problem because the driver can't anticipate when there's a red light for you and a green light for the car that you're just going to wander into traffic. But that seems to be happening. Between 2018 and 2022, there were over 2,900 fatal car crashes in New Jersey. 915 of them involved a pedestrian. So for all those who were all happy proponents of legalizing marijuana and everybody go smoke it up, this is the result. People die. People die. They may not die from an overdose, but they're dying because they're walking into traffic. 900 plus in the last few years. Consider that. It is 8:55. Governor Murphy has declared the continued work on eastbound I-80 we were talking about in Wharton a state of emergency in hopes of getting federal funding to help with repairs. Local business owners are hoping so too because they're losing a lot of money from drivers who are not stopping and spending. It's been over a month since the sinkhole formed. No indication of when I-80 may reopen. The area is home to scores of closed iron mines, and so far at least 57 voids have been filled with grout to prevent future sinkholes from forming. President Trump said that he would get down fuel prices, and he kept his word. The average cost for a gallon of gas in New Jersey now down to $2.94. That's the lowest price in nearly 4 years, down 23 cents year to year and down $2.11 a gallon, nearly half from the high of $5.05 under President Biden, who said he has no idea what a president could possibly do to lower gas prices. This president knows. Dozens of people have been rescued after an oil tanker carrying aviation jet fuel and a container ship collided in the North Sea off of England, resulting in multiple explosions and a massive fireball. Lifeboats and a Coast Guard helicopter had to be called to the collision yesterday. 2 vessels collided. 37 people across both vessels are accounted for. Nobody but one had to be hospitalized. It's amazing. Almost every Republican in the House and Senate are on board with the continuing resolution to keep the federal government open, but 60 votes are necessary in the Senate, so some Democrats must get on board. This time around, the difference is the Democrats, if they don't join the GOP, there would be a government shutdown, but it would be their fault, not the fault of Republicans, even though only a tiny handful of Republicans in both houses combined are against the measure. Somehow, though, liberal legacy media will, of course, try to spin it in the Democrats' favor, blaming the mean old wascally Republicans. The congressional budget patch would add billions of dollars for deportations, veterans' health care, and the military, and would cut $13 billion in funding for non-defense programs. The Speaker of the House is planning to put the stopgap on the floor today and then send members home for recess before the Senate can send back any changes. It is now 38 degrees at 8:57. Meteorologist Mike Pavetta says sunny and mild today, becoming breezy, highs near 70, mid-70s in some parts of New Jersey. And that is On New Jersey Mornings for your Monday, March 10th. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you could stream us at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News on Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. We stream live on Rumble and Twitch. Go to twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. Catch you tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great day.